You know that feeling when you've slept or you think you've slept enough, but you're still just dragging yourself through the day.
Mm-hmm. That kind of constant low-level tiredness.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So today, we're going to really dig into that. We've looked at quite a bit of information to try and understand 10 potential reasons why you might be feeling, well, perpetually exhausted.
That's right. And our goal isn't just to, list them off. We really want to explore the sort of mechanics behind each one.
How and why they happen.
Precisely. We'll use examples and look at some of the underlying science. We're referencing things like the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare sleep guidelines, and also guidelines from the Japanese Society of Internal Medicine for some other conditions.
Right, to give you some real insights, hopefully, to help you connect the dots in your own life.
That's the idea.
Okay, so we got 10 key areas identified. Let's kick things off with maybe the most obvious one. Poor sleep quality.
Mm-hmm.
We all know what that's like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Staying up too late, scrolling on the phone maybe, or just tossing and turning.
Yeah, and what's really key here, I think, is understanding that sleep isn't just about, the number of hours you spend in bed.
Okay.
The ministry guidelines really emphasize how restorative sleep needs to be. Think of it like your body and brain have these critical repair jobs that happen overnight.
Right, maintenance time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if your sleep is constantly broken up, fragmented, even if you're technically in bed for 7-8 hours, those essential processes get disrupted.
And that leads straight to feeling tired the next day.
It leads directly to that persistent fatigue, yeah.
So it's not just the quantity then. It's really the uninterrupted quality that matters for recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I've had nights, definitely, where I feel like I slept for ages, but I wake up feeling not rested at all.
Precisely. And think about it. Each time you have one of those micro awakenings, even if you don't fully remember it in the morning, you're essentially knocking your sleep cycle off track. It stops you from spending enough time in those really deep stages of sleep, like slow wave sleep. That's crucial for physical restoration, even for consolidating memories.
So those little interruptions just prevent your body and mind from fully recharging, no matter how long you are actually lying there.
That's it. You don't get the full recharge.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, moving on. The second area we're exploring is something I think, loads of us wrestle with daily. Accumulated stress.
Oh, absolutely.
That constant sort of background hum of worry, work stuff, relationship things, finances. It just seems to stick around.
And if we look at how your body actually handles that stress, being worried for long periods really puts a strain on your adrenal glands.
Okay, the adrenals.
Yeah, they produce cortisol. That's a key hormone for regulating energy and your whole stress response. But when stress becomes chronic, just ongoing, it can mess up your cortisol levels.
Oh, so?
Well, think of it like a dimmer switch that's kind of stuck in the on position for way too long. That imbalance, it can show up as that relentless tiredness, that dip in motivation, feeling constantly overwhelmed.
Yeah, I definitely recognize that feeling, that sort of low-grade anxiety that just seems to sap all your energy, even if you haven't actually done much physically.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just a mental burden, the worrying, it's actually having a physical effect on energy levels.
Absolutely. Your body's stress response system, it's really designed for short, intense bursts, fight or flight.
Right, like seeing a tiger.
Exactly, not like constant email notifications. So
Yeah.
when that system is constantly switched on, it's like keeping an engine idling really high for ages. Eventually, you just burn through your fuel reserves.
Leaving you feeling depleted and fatigued.
That's it, worn out.
Okay, our third potential reason for feeling so run down. This one hits close to home for many, I think.
Mm-hmm.
An imbalanced diet.
Mm-hmm. Food and energy.
Yeah, I'm thinking about those days when you skip breakfast because you're rushing, or maybe you're relying a bit too much on, convenience store meals or fast food.
And what's really fascinating here is just how closely our food intake is tied to energy production, right down at the cellular level.
Okay.
So if you're deficient in certain key nutrients, like B vitamins, B12 is a big one, directly involved in turning food into usable energy, or iron, which carries oxygen to your tissues.
Essential.
Absolutely. And magnesium, too, that's involved in muscle function and creating energy. If you're lacking these, it really throws a spanner in the works.
Your body just can't generate energy efficiently.
Exactly. And that leads to that chronic feeling of fatigue.
It's so easy to fall into those habits, though, isn't it? Especially when life gets busy. You just grab what's quick.
Of course.
But it sounds like those quick choices might actually be part of the reason we feel constantly run down.
That's often the case, yeah. While those options might give you quick calories, they can be lacking in the actual micronutrients your body needs for sustained energy release, for keeping your metabolism running smoothly.
So it's not just having fuel, it's having the right kind of fuel and all the tools to use it.
Precisely. Quality over just quantity again.
Okay, moving to number 4. This might feel a bit counterintuitive when you're already tired. Lack of exercise.
Ah, yes. The movement paradox.
Right. I'm thinking especially about those of us with desk jobs, spending hours and hours sitting down.
Well, this brings up a really interesting point about how physical activity and energy levels are linked. It might seem like the absolute last thing you want to do when you're exhausted.
Totally.
But actually, light to moderate exercise significantly improves blood flow all through your body and, importantly, to your brain.
Okay, more oxygen to the brain.
Exactly. And that boosts mental clarity, focus, overall energy. On the flip side, being sedentary can lead to sluggish circulation. Your body gets less efficient at delivering energy where it needs to go.
And that actually makes you feel more tired.
It contributes to fatigue, definitely.
I can relate to that. On days when I actually manage to, get some movement in, even just a walk, even if I felt tired before, I often feel more energized later. It's weird.
It's not weird, it's physiology. Think of it like getting the engine going, like you said. Your body is designed for movement.
Right.
When you're consistently inactive, it's like a machine that's not used regularly. Things get a bit sluggish. Regular light activity keeps those systems humming along nicely.
And that can be a powerful way to fight fatigue.
A very powerful way.
Okay, number 5 takes us to something many people rely on when that afternoon slump hits, but maybe rely on too much. Excessive caffeine intake.
The double-edged sword.
Yeah, we're
Oh, wow.
talking like drinking 3, 4, maybe more cups of coffee or energy drinks a day just to push through the tiredness.
So what's fascinating about caffeine is, it definitely gives you that temporary boost. It works by blocking adenosine receptors in your brain. Adenosine is what signals sleepiness.
So caffeine blocks the sleepy signal.
Basically, yes. But here's the catch. Overdoing the caffeine can seriously mess with your sleep quality later on. And that sets up this really nasty cycle. You feel tired, so you drink more caffeine, but that caffeine then disrupts your sleep, making you even more tired the next day.
It's such an easy trap to fall into, though, isn't it? You feel that dip, you reach for another coffee,
Yeah.
but it sounds like you're just borrowing energy from later.
That's a great way to put it. You're borrowing from your future self. The stimulating effects can hang around in your system for hours.
Longer than you think sometimes.
Much longer, making it harder to fall asleep, harder to stay asleep soundly. And even if you do sleep, it might not be as deep or restorative.
Leaving you feeling unrefreshed even after the caffeine jolt wore off long ago.
Exactly. So the cycle continues.
Okay, our 6th point. This one brings in the possibility of underlying medical conditions. We specifically mentioned anemia and hypothyroidism.
Really important to consider.
These are the kinds of hidden factors that might be causing that persistent fatigue, even if you feel like you're doing everything else right, lifestyle-wise.
Yeah, this is crucial because sometimes fatigue isn't just about habits. Conditions like anemia, especially iron deficiency anemia, which is surprisingly common, particularly in women, reduce your blood's ability to carry oxygen.
Okay, less oxygen transport.
Right. And as the Japanese Society of Internal Medicine guidelines point out, this can cause persistent fatigue, but also other things like feeling really wiped out when you wake up or getting short of breath easily, even with minimal effort.
And hypothyroidism.
Similar impact, different mechanism. With hypothyroidism, your thyroid gland isn't making enough thyroid hormone. This hormone is like the body's accelerator pedal for metabolism and energy production.
So if it's low, everything slows down.
Exactly. It can significantly slow things down, leading to that chronic tiredness.
So if you're dealing with this kind of really persistent fatigue, maybe alongside other symptoms like those, it's really, really important to think, okay, maybe there's an underlying medical reason here.
Absolutely. You need to get it checked out by a doctor. These kinds of conditions have a huge impact on energy, and they often need specific medical diagnosis and treatment.
You can't just fix them with, more sleep or a better diet alone.
Not usually, no. They need targeted medical attention.
Okay. Point number 7 looks at mental fatigue and specifically touches on depressive tendencies.
The mind-body connection again.
It's quite striking how much our mental and emotional state can affect our physical energy levels.
It really is. And what's insightful here is understanding that depression, or even just milder forms of low mood, can actually slow down various brain functions.
Literally slow them down.
In a functional sense, yes. This leads to that persistent feeling of fatigue, that overall low energy. And think about the lack of motivation, the loss of interest in things that often come with depression.
Yeah.
That itself can manifest as a very real, very significant feeling of tiredness. It's not just feeling sad. It's a fundamental shift in the brain's energy and drive.
It's almost like your brain is working overtime just to function, even when you're not actively doing much, and that mental effort translates into feeling physically exhausted.
That's a very good way to think about it. The neurochemical changes that happen with depression can directly impact how energy is regulated in the brain. Neurotransmitters involved in mood and energy levels can get out of balance.
Contributing to that pervasive feeling of just being drained.
Exactly. Drained is a good word for it.
Okay, our eighth potential reason. This one seems almost too simple, but maybe easily overlooked in our busy lives. Dehydration.
Simple but fundamental.
Just not drinking enough water throughout the day.
Yeah, and this really highlights just how vital water is for pretty much every single function in your body.
Right.
When you're not properly hydrated, even mildly, your blood can actually become slightly thicker. Yep. That makes it harder for your heart to pump efficiently and harder for oxygen and nutrients to circulate effectively.
Okay, so poor circulation again.
Exactly. And that impaired circulation can lead straight to feeling sluggish, maybe getting headaches, finding it harder to concentrate.
All contributing to feeling fatigued.
Absolutely. It all adds up to that perception of fatigue.
It feels almost too obvious, doesn't it? You get caught up thinking about stress and sleep and diet, and maybe the answer is just have another glass of water.
Sometimes it really can be a major contributing factor. Even mild dehydration can make a noticeable difference to your energy levels. And it's usually quite easy to fix for most people.
Just keeping things running optimally.
Exactly. Staying hydrated ensures all those basic systems, including energy production and delivery, can work properly.
Okay, number 9. This brings up another sleep-related issue, but one that people might not even know they have. Sleep apnea syndrome.
A hidden disruptor.
We're talking about things like maybe very loud snoring, or consistently waking up feeling completely exhausted, even if you think you slept for a good amount of time.
This really raises a critical question about, well, the quality of your breathing while you're asleep. With sleep apnea, people have these repeated pauses in breathing all through the night.
Pauses in breathing.
Yes, often without fully waking up consciously. But these pauses cause significant drops in blood oxygen levels.
That sounds serious.
It can be. And it prevents both the brain and the body from getting that deep restorative sleep they need. The result is this buildup of fatigue that's hard to explain just by looking at the clock.
So even if someone thinks I slept 8 solid hours, if they have sleep apnea, their sleep was actually constantly interrupted at a physiological level.
That's exactly it. Their body is being repeatedly jolted out of those deeper sleep stages because of the breathing interruptions. It leads to very fragmented, non-restorative sleep.
And that chronic lack of oxygen and constant disruption really takes a toll on daytime energy.
A significant toll, yes, on energy, concentration, mood, and overall health.
Okay, finally, our 10th potential reason. This one feels very relicanical. Modern life, doesn't it? Too many tasks, or what we're calling multitasking fatigue.
The juggling act.
Yes, that constant switching between work emails, maybe household chores, childcare, checking your phone every 5 minutes.
And what's really key to understand here is how our brains are actually wired. We might think we're being efficient by juggling lots of things at once.
Yeah, we pride ourselves on it sometimes.
Right, but our brains are really designed for focused attention, one thing at a time, ideally. Constantly switching between tasks puts a huge cognitive load on the brain.
Like mental weightlifting.
Kind of. Think of it like a rapidly switching between demanding apps on your phone. It drains the battery much faster, right?
Definitely.
It's the same with your brain. That constant mental re-engagement, disengagement, refocusing, it leads directly to mental fatigue and actually a drop in performance on all the tasks you're trying to do.
Oh, I can definitely feel that mental drain. By the end of a day where I've just been constantly context switching, jumping from one thing to another, I feel utterly exhausted mentally, even if I haven't moved much.
That feeling is a direct result of your brain working much, much harder just to manage all those shifts in focus. That cognitive overload just burns through mental energy.
And contributes massively to overall fatigue.
Substantially, yes.
Wow. Okay, so there we have it. 10 potential pieces of the puzzle, really, when it comes to understanding why you might be feeling constantly tired. Looking at everything from sleep quality, stress, diet, exercise, possible medical issues, mental state, hydration, sleep apnea, and even just trying to do too much at once.
Mm-hmm. And I think the main takeaway here is that persistent tiredness often isn't down to just one single thing. It's usually a mix, a combination of these interconnected factors.
They all weave together, don't they? Daily routines, mental well-being, physical health.
Exactly. They're all deeply interwoven.
So it might be really useful for you listening to maybe think about creating a sort of mental fatigue cause checklist for yourself and just honestly reflect on your own lifestyle, see which of these areas might be most relevant for you.
Yeah. And again, we really have to emphasize, if you do have ongoing serious concerns about fatigue, please talk to a doctor. It's so important to rule out any underlying medical conditions first.
Absolutely. Don't self-diagnose based on this.
No, this is for understanding potential factors, not diagnosis.
We were also thinking, if there's interest from you, we could perhaps dive deeper in a future session, maybe look at creating a more personalized self-check tool to help track and understand your own fatigue patterns. Let us know.
But for now, maybe a final thought for you to mull over. Looking back at these 10 areas we discussed, which one, or maybe which couple, feel most pertinent to your experience of fatigue right now?
And perhaps what's one small, really manageable step you could try exploring this week, just to see if it makes even a little difference to your energy levels.